If you have always wanted to try making buckwheat crepes from scratch but have felt a little hesitant, I am here to walk you through this process step by step so that you can make this in your own home. Now, I am Amy from Airy Spatula, and let me just say that making these crepes is going to be so much easier than what you might think. These grapes are not only whole grain, of course, because of the buckwheat flour, but they are also gluten-free, making them a really delicious, healthier option to regular crepes. Throughout this video, I'm going to be sharing all the tips that you need to make these crepes perfectly the first time that you make them. Now, don't forget to subscribe, of course, and then if you have comments or questions, drop them in the comments section below. Okay, buckwheat crepes start with buckwheat flour. It is the only flour that I use in this recipe. You can either buy it or you can make it on your own in a blender. It's incredibly simple to make. And in case you missed my previous video where I taught you how to do this, I'm going to link it at the end of this one. These crepes are made with only buckwheat flours, no other flour, no other additions. They require very few ingredients and they're very simple to make. Now, this is how you do it. You can do it either in a blender or a bowl like I did. You're going to add your wet ingredients to a medium-sized bowl. Mix this well because you want to make sure that the eggs are broken up and well mixed in. This is very important before you add in the dry ingredients. Next, you're going to add in the flour and salt, and you're going to mix it until it's smooth. You want your batter to be thin, so add a little bit more milk if you need it. And then you're going to cover and let this sit for 1 hour. This needs time to rest, otherwise they don't spread in the pan like you want them to. And then once you're ready, I check the batter for consistency again, and then if you need to at this point, because buckwheat flour does absorb more moisture, of course, than a refined flour, go ahead and add in more milk and mix it together. One of the biggest problems that I have seen with buckwheat crepes as I've tested these recipes is cracking if the batter is too thick, and the reason for this is that the crepes will be thick, and when you try and flip them or fold them or whatever you're doing with them, they'll start to break apart. So a thin crepe makes for an easy crepe to fold and to work with. Now, once the batter's ready, you're going to heat up your pan. I used a non-stick pan from Marshall's. I would love a crepe pan, but right now it's not in the budget, and plus I don't use it often enough to make it worth my money. So if you have a non-stick pan, pull it out just like I did, and you're going to want to heat it over medium-high heat. You want it to be pretty hot before you start. And then you're going to brush it with butter, as you don't want the crepes to stick. It's a non-stick pan, so typically they don't, but brush it with butter just as a safety precaution. And then this is a kind of a combination move that you're going to do here. You're going to need both hands. I use my right hand, I'm right hand dominant, to pour the batter into the pan, and I do 1/4 cup at a time. While I'm pouring the batter into the pan, I'm also moving the pan to swirl the batter and coat it all across the pan. You're going to cook this for about a minute on one side. Carefully flip it, and you can see I used a fork to lift it, and then I turned it with my hands. Now, if your first crepe fails, don't be stressed out. Mine always does. I don't know why that is, so I always just chalk the first one up to whatever. It's just for snacking while I'm working. So if you have the same problem, don't stress about it. You'll get the feel for it eventually. And then what you're going to do after this one's done, set it on the plate, and then you continue cooking your crepes until they're all done. And once they are done, of course, they can be served savory or with sweet ingredients. In fact, the savory buckwheat crepes come from an area in France, and they're served with usually an egg or something savory. But obviously you can do savory or sweet, and I'm going to list some ideas in the description as well. So that is it. These crepes are so easy to make. There is downtime while you're letting the batter rest and of course cooking it, but for the most part, it's fairly simple.